Hi, folks. How are you? Great to have you here. It's Rush Limbaugh. This is the Excellence in Broadcasting Network. It is the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. And as always, we come to you with urgency here at the EIB Network and the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. Every day, it's hurry, hurry here. Great to have you. Telephone number 800-282-2882 and the email address lrushbaugh@eibnet.com. Now, as many of you know, the Daily Show, hosted by Jon Stewart, and I must be honest, I've only seen this show on video clips. I haven't watched it, and don't take anything. It doesn't mean anything. I just haven't. Snerdley's looking at me like he can't believe it. It's not been a purposeful thing. I just don't even know where the Comedy Central channel is on DirecTV. That's not the. I just full disclosure here, but it has been established that for the college-aged crowd and for millennials, and we learn, I forget the source of this, that there was a news story yesterday, journalism students, it turns out, are getting their news from CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, not Fox, and The Daily Show. Journalism students are getting their news from The Daily Show. Now, whether we like it or not, we have to accept certain realities here in Realville, and that is, for certain young people, The Daily Show's not a comedy show. Well, it is, but it's news. Along with Twitter, it is a primary source of news, and we learned yesterday it's a primary source of news for journalism students. Fox News is not. I'll find that piece. I had it in yesterday's stack, I think. I didn't get to it. Because yesterday, I'm so pathetic. I was so distracted. It's amazing, folks, that yesterday's show even happened. But I'm good today. I'm okay now. I'm fine. I'm hunky-dory. Everything is cool. We're in there. We're all in, 100% and so forth. Because it's working now. At least on one of them. It's working out, so progress is taking place. Anyway, Kathleen Sebelius, who was the Secretary of Health and Human Services, was on The Daily Show last night, and she lied. And Stewart called her out on it. Now, as much as you might be off-put by a comedy show being taken seriously, the fact of the matter is, when low-information audiences, and I don't mean that insultingly, I'm just trying to be realistic here, the Daily Show is an attraction for the low-information crowd. They think they're being fully informed, and that's fine. It is what it is. Point is this. When a low-information audience predisposed to loving Obama, trusting Obama, a low-information audience that has bought the Limbaugh theorem, hook, line, and sinker, when they end up laughing at an Obama bureaucrat's non-answers and lies, it is a big deal. You may not like that it's a big deal. You may resent that it's a big deal, but it's nevertheless a big deal. In addition, we have sound bites coming up here from other outposts in the media. For example, on CNN, the Forehead was on with Erin Burnett, and she said, didn't you guys kind of oversell the shutdown? I mean, it isn't nearly as bad as you guys have been making it out to be. Sam Zell, the well-known financier and real estate tycoon in Chicago, was on CNBC today. And he said that the market is using the shutdown as an excuse to correct itself, and it's falling a little bit. He said the Tea Party is great, it's natural, and in fact, it is a reaction to an imperial White House. And then we have the arbiters of Washington liberal conventional wisdom, not David Gergen, he's in there too. But two of the most absolutely flawless examples of elitist liberal mindsets, Tina Brown and Frank Rich on Anderson Cooper last night, fretting that the Democrats are losing this. Exactly as I, L. Rushbaugh, have suggested to you, that the Democrats are losing this. There is a general unease that has permeated the left. It's interesting, if you listen to the wrong Republicans, these people are so beat down, even some Republican media. Not going to mention any names, doesn't serve any purpose. I was watching Fox today. Some conservative media analysts, they just are convinced the Republicans are having their clocks cleaned and having their pants handed to them, and they just, because they're the prisoners of the inside the Beltway narrative every day, and they don't see this. In addition to that, all kinds of people are coming out now and not just giving examples of the Obamacare website not working, but telling us why it can't, because the best people are not in government. They're at Google, or they are at Apple, or they're elsewhere. The government totally incapable, incompetent, and some are suggesting that we're way beyond glitch here. This is not glitch. This is an utter disaster. Some people. So we've got quite a lot here to impart and share. We also have found out, Reason.com today has a story. Remember that Obama poster boy, Chad Henderson, and his dad? Said to be the first successful Obamacare patients that signed up and went to whatever it is, Obamacare.gov, national, whatever the website is, and they were touted as the first successful sign-ups. And his kid, Chad, he was perfect. He's 30 years old, exactly the kind of guy. Turns out they didn't really buy insurance. The whole thing was a lie. The whole thing was a fraud. Another story. There are not 20 Republicans willing and ready to abandon the Republicans in the House, as Harry Reid and others have been saying. So we really are loaded today. And I want to go back to the Daily Show and the audio sound bites here of Kathleen Sebelius, who came off as ignorant, misleading, and totally incompetent. And it was, Stewart did his best. I mean, she's friendly. She's from the regime. He's on their side. But it got to the point that even for his own credibility, he was not able to let this go. So let's start with the Daily Show. Last night, Jon Stewart interviewing Kathleen Sebelius, Secretary of Health and Human Services. This is the woman with all the power in Obamacare. If you look at the law, and of course, what we're dealing with now is not the law that was signed. Obama has added, and this is another thing. More and more people are starting to ask, and that's what this is about. Now, wait a minute. You're giving businesses waivers, and then you're allowing them a year to wait on their mandate. Why not us? Why not the little guy? A lot of this stuff, folks, is starting to snowball, and I don't want to make too big a deal of it, but it is happening, and I want you to see how, and see what you think about it. So here, Stewart says in our first soundbite, why is it that individuals couldn't say they didn't want to do it just for a year like business? What he's saying is, look, you guys granted businesses a year's grace on the employer mandate. Why can't individuals say, you know what? We'd like a year's grace from having to buy this piece of rot. Why can't we? And here's her answer.
Well, they can. They pay a fine. They pay a fine at the end of the year. But they don't have to. I mean, they can say, I don't want to do it. The theory is they can't pick and choose if they're going to get hit by a bus or diagnosed with an illness. And for a lot of young folks, they're, one fall on the basketball court, one auto accident away from a lifetime of hospital bills they can't pay.
Still not sure why individuals can't delay.
She didn't answer the question. Still not sure why individuals can't delay. But see, she said, you can pay the fine. There are no fines for businesses if they refuse. They've been granted a waiver of 1 year from their mandate to provide insurance. He say, why can't we, the little guy, why can't we say, we don't want it for a year? Oh, you can. You have to pay a fine. But then you might break your neck or you might get hit by a dodgeball and you might be blah, 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 blah. That's another. We had a school system that's banned all balls. Footballs, dodgeballs, baseballs, softballs, they banned it. Too dangerous. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait till you hear the non-Obamacare, non-shutdown, non-debt limit stack today. I mean, it's classic. We're loaded. Okay, so she just said you can bump out. You just pay a fine. And after she went through it all, he said, I'm still not sure why individuals can't delay. And so now here's Stewart, who is clearly a regime flunky. Well, I don't want to say that might scare and offend 24-year-old girls. Calling him a flunky, it's because they like him. He's a nice guy. Jon Leibowitz. The nice guy. Stewart, stage name. His name is Leibowitz. I know these things. Anyway, I don't mean to call him a flunky. He's on their side. Stewart is on there. He's all for this. Okay, but that's why this is important here, folks. He's all for this, and it isn't working. And so here's his next attempt to get the truth out of her.
For those of us who are somewhat believing that the opposition right now in Washington are crazy people, it feels like it's frustrating to have to defend something that is less than ideal or is functioning at what seems to be a level of incompetence that is larger than what it should be. So if your only option is crazy town, this is why I think people are like clinging to this idea, but why, like the 30-hour-a-week thing? Businesses are cutting workers' hours below 30 to avoid facing the law of Obamacare. What do you say to that?
See, now, this is classic. We're the crazies, but we are the reason he knows this. We are the crazies, but if it weren't for us, Jon Stewart wouldn't know that businesses are downsizing because the places he goes for news are not reporting it. Now, one thing Stewart is, he knows his audience, low-information people, or the quote-unquote little guy, and they're getting shafted in this. All right? And this is not what's supposed to happen. Obama's supposed to be looking out for the little guy. That's why you vote for Obama. That's why you're on Obama's team. That's why you want Obama to succeed, because Obama's going to do great things for the little guy, and he's going to savage the wackos and the crazies. Except, for those of us somewhat believing the opposition right now are crazy people, I mean, we are why he even knows enough to ask this question. Here is Sebelius's answer. Remember, he says, why are you doing this? Why do you have it in the law? Because it's in the law, that means businesses are cutting workers below 30 hours to avoid your law. Why did you do that? I guess he just figured this out. He doesn't seem fair to him. Why are you doing that? Why did you put that in the law?
There is absolutely no evidence that part-time work is going up. In fact, it's going down. The height was in the recession. It's going down. And for the first time ever in this country, part-time workers, and there are a lot of part-time workers, there always have been, there will be in the future, will have affordable health care.
There are people that will end up in difficult times having to spend money they would not have spent, yes, to buy health care if they did not have it. If they did not want.
There are people who will, yes, pay money, and many of them will pay less than they pay for their cable bill or their cell phone bill a month.
She's just making it up as she goes here now. So I haven't heard this one yet, that your premiums, I heard $2,500 cheaper, but I didn't hear less than your cable bill or your cell phone bill. Notice the two things she focuses on, because those two things are of paramount importance to the low information crowd. Their cell phones and their cable TV, their TV, whatever. And TV is becoming less and less important because they can steal it and watch it all on their cell phones. She lied all through her teeth. Less part-time work? There's more part-time work. 70% of the jobs being created are part-time jobs. That doesn't include the jobs that are being converted from full-time to part-time. Oh, yeah, she's lying through her teeth here. And she's counting on the fact that he doesn't know enough to correct her on it. Let's face it. That's what they're used to. You've got a media on your side. You can say whatever you want, and even if they know you're lying, they don't call you on it. But most of the time, people like Sebelius will figure that he doesn't know that she's lying. So that stood on its own, and this is how Stewart, this is how he ended the show, by concluding that she was lying to him.
That's our show! I still don't understand why individuals have to sign and businesses don't. Because if she's saying, well, they get a delay because that doesn't matter anyway because they already give health care, then you think to yourself, well, then why do they have to sign up at all? But then I think to myself, like, well, maybe she's lying to me?
Maybe she's just lying to me. Yeah, John, And really, I'm not trying to be contentious here at all. Please, what you people understand, I know sometimes I sound sarcastic. I know I'm funny, but I'm trying to be contentious here at all. Not trying to start anything. I think it's great. I'm telling you. When there's more evidence here, what's happening out there? There's a transformation taking place that the regime didn't count on. Didn't count on this. So Sebelius, nobody. I mean, the low information crowd watching this show that is trying to get a job knows full well that part-time jobs are about it. And if they have a full-time job, they're going to be downsized and converted so that the company doesn't have to provide them health care insurance. So my point is, when a low information audience laughs at an Obama bureaucrat's non-answers and lies, I don't know that it means we're winning, but it clearly is not the norm. You would at least agree with that. And I know that last answer from Sebelius, oh, well, it's always going to be part-time workers because there's less of them now than ever. I mean, for the recession and so forth. But again, back, his second question to her about converting people to part-time. Again, we're the crazies, but if it weren't for us, he wouldn't know that. Bottom line. Quick timeout. We'll be back after this. Don't go away. So I checked the email during the break, and I knew there'd be some people out there that were, why are you picking a fight with Jon Stewart? I'm not. Folks, the last thing I want to do, I'm not being contentious at all. It was about why you call him a flunky. Look, he said to Sebelius, it's frustrating to have to defend something that's less than ideal. I mean, what is that? He's admitting, come on, you guys, this is tough defending you here. I want your side to work out. I want your stuff to work. You're making it really tough. Flunky, whatever. He's liberal. He voted for him. He wants his stuff to all work. The problem is, he's got an audience, and they're made up of young people, low information people, and to him, these people, everything is fairness. And I don't see the fairness. And in this sense, they're right. Okay, big business has been told, you know what? That employer mandate, you have to provide insurance. See, big business is hated by this crowd. They are despised. And having to provide insurance is considered a just punishment. Since big business is hated and despised, they're rich. And how'd they get rich? By exploiting their employees and stealing from their customers. In some cases, killing their customers. This is what they believe. So here comes this employer mandate requiring them to provide health insurance and health care for their employees. Well, that's good. That's they consider that is the infliction of pain and suffering on business. And therefore it's fair. I'm giving you their mindset. Big business exploits, punishes, kills customers, steals money, destroys the environment, all of that. And now Obama just gave them a year off and don't have to provide insurance. And that's where most people get it. So it's quite natural. Like, wait a minute, I thought you were going to screw these guys for us. It's kind of like raising taxes on the rich. I thought you were going to screw these rich business people. I thought you were going to really get even with them. And now you're telling them they don't have to do it, but we have to still go out and find a way to get our own insurance. And Sebelius said, yeah. And that just doesn't seem fair. And to remember now, to this group of people, fairness. They've been taught it, raised with it, they're governed by it. It's everything. And this doesn't seem fair. That the reviled, despised, hated CEO doesn't have to provide his exploited and soon dead employees with their health insurance for a year. But they have to somehow now go out and find it on their own. Why can't they get a waiver? And Sebelius said, well, they don't have to. They can pay a fine. By the way, somebody needs to tell her, you don't call it a fine now. It's a tax. Remember, that's in the Supreme Court. John Roberts said, how can I rewrite this bill to make it constitutional? Chief Justice says, I'll change that fine and we'll call it a tax, and then say they've got the authority to do that. So you will pay a tax, not a fine, if you don't follow the law and get your health insurance as mandated. It was a Newsbusters piece, and they talking about CNN's reliable sources this past Sunday during an interview with a group of journalism students at George Washington University's School of Media and Public Affairs. Apart from Facebook and Twitter, these journalism students, George Washington U, get their news, is what they said, from the Associated Press, which, believe me, the vast majority of low information people get their news from the AP. I mean, it's AP that ends up in all these Twitter feeds and Facebook and so forth, and Yahoo and so forth. So it's AP, and that AP is the most egregious example daily of journalistic malpractice. After AP, then they say they get their news from CBS, CNN, PMS, NBC, NBC, NPR, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and Jon Stewart. Not Fox. They don't, probably ordered not to.